This is the continued last week's budget hearing. And I ask for a couple of items. Number one, we're going to begin with the pledge, but I'm going to ask you all to please remain standing for a moment of silence for Florence Gunther. Florence Gunther, a pillar of the community for 100 years, who just passed away. And I'd like to have a moment of silence recognizing her memory and dedication to this village. Please rise to the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Roll call.
Trustee Tuckerelli.
Yeah.
Questions, comments? Trustee Wazak.
Yeah.
Trustee Daly.
Yeah.
Mayor Fair.
Here, as we discussed last week, we're down two board members. Last week, we didn't want to vote on the budget with two of the board members down. Also, we had last week's public hearing, multiple emails. All of the trustees were in touch with our treasurer to try and make cuts based on your suggestions and your emails and your public comments. So at this time, I'm going to turn the meeting over to our treasurer, who was able to take into consideration what happened last week and what was exchanged by all the trustees who are sitting up here with the treasurer during the week to make modifications in the budget. Mr. Fox?
Good evening, everybody. Okay, so the amendments to the tentative budget that was proposed last week. The tax rate on the cover page has been reduced to $58.23 per $100 of assessed valuation. In order to get to that, on the summary page, balance of appropriations to be raised by real estate taxes has been reduced to $37,012,039. The line items that got us to that point, on page 7 of the appropriations, purchasing department 1345.1 personal services reduced to 95,758. On page 12 of the appropriations, traffic enforcement bureau, personal services 5650.1 has been reduced to $200,022. That's 200,022. On page 15 of appropriations under employee benefits, workman's compensation A9040.8 is reduced to 900,000. And finally, the sum of those reductions bring us to a total budget in the general fund of 52,360,216 listed on the bottom of the summary page. And those are the current amendments as read into the record.
Comments from the board? Comments from the public? Please step up to the mic and the court stenographer will take your name and address.
My name is Michael Golan, Golan. I live at 464 North Corona Avenue. And there doesn't seem to be much capital improvement involved in the budget for the library. Many of the libraries around us in all the towns have wonderful events and different types of facilities. Even this facility here, that's not used for the court anymore, could be converted into a location to have films and drama and activities, and it would be wonderful. All you have to do is renovate this place. And I don't see any capital improvement. I know there was some capital improvement about maybe 12 years ago inside the library, a shelf, but there wasn't much more. There's rugs and shit. But I really think we should be able to do what Elmont does and the other towns. And I don't know why that's not included in this budget.
Mike, I just want to address the capital improvements in the library.
Well, capital improvements would not be involved in the general fund, only the payment for the debt service that we would go out to do those capital projects. We did just have an HVAC project where the HVAC system was completely redone here in Village Hall and in the library. Yes, some of that was caused because we had a catastrophic failure, but we did do that. We also had repairs done to the library. An Elmont library and some of the other libraries that you may be talking about, they're school district libraries, not municipal funded, so they usually are dealing with much larger budgets. We also deal with a limited space at the library for, such projects that that you're talking about. There's only so much space. Well, that has been considered in the past, and, unfortunately,
I do appreciate that you did the HVAC system, which I didn't know about. But I really would like to have you guys look into that.
We had looked
I think
into
it's
it.
great for the community.
It's extremely high in cost, and unfortunately, we've had other capital needs and projects that have come before it, but that doesn't mean it's gone
Towns
away.
do it, so there must be a way. It's not being done now, but there must be a way.
Also, Michael, weren't the bathrooms just done in the library?
Yeah, I said it.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know if you said that.
I did, yeah.
I apologize. Thank you, sir.
You
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Comments from the public? Come on up.
Yeah. I know Evelyn Lyons, 58 East Hawthorne Avenue. What's the bottom line increase of our taxes now that you cut?
It is now 4.4.
Still high. Still high, double of what we have been paying.
It's not, you mean the rate
Well,
increase is
it's supposed
double?
to be 2%.
It's not supposed to be two. There is a tax cap, and the legislation allows for us to override it when need be. And there's many other jurisdictions that have been forced to override it because unfortunately, the cost of living for yourself and the village does not always stay at 2%. However, over the last 15 years, we are at 2.4% on average over the last 15 years.
That's too much,
Okay, sorry.
too much, really, seriously.
All right, but the garbage still needs to get picked up. I'm not saying that it's not.
Past year on our snowstorms and everything, and your new cars, you have to put it there.
Okay, thank you. But 5 consecutive years of staying under the 2% cap puts pressure on the budget overall, and eventually something has to be done.
So people will not live here.
Mamie?
Not bad.
Good evening.
Hi, my name is Mamie Yang. I'm the library director at the Valley Street. I just want to address to the man who was talking about Elmont. It took Elmont over 20 years to amass money, which they were able to keep in their fund balance before they could build their new building. The library here does not have that option. It took them a long time to do it, and then they made this big building expansion. And I just wanted to not that this is a good excuse, the Bethpage Library did not break the cap since it was set. This year, they're increasing their taxes. They're breaking the cap 16.5% because the building is so run down there and they really needed to do it. So I know that, I'm benefiting from it because the village is increasing their tax cap. But if you don't have some increase, you're going to have something like that, 16.5%. That was huge vote, and they did get it passed because the community realized that they had been keeping the tax cap so low for the library that it was in disrepair. And I don't know if anyone's familiar. I'm talking from the library point of view. Peninsula Library is in dire straits right now. Their elevator doesn't work. They have mold. They have water leaking all over the place. Their parking lot is a mess. So, as the library director, I am very appreciative that the village does maintain our building. We are not the greatest building. We don't have the Oceanside beautiful big expansion. We don't have the big expansion that Elmont has, but we are doing the best we can with the money that we have. So, and I know a lot of you come to use the library. There's always going to be a better library out there. We just do the best we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ang. Further comments from the public? Good evening.
My name is Mauricio Santos, 30 Derby Street.
Get the address, Alexa. Thank you.
I want to talk about salaries. Everybody complaining that we need money for this, we need this and that. I'm reading here, the average annual salary was $57,000. The median salary was 63. What is the top salary? Top 10 guys? There's a couple people at 140.
There's a couple people at 140, 150.
Mike, the record show here says 211,000.
Nobody makes 211,000. Where are you getting that information from? Is it in the budget as a base salary?
Suppose according to this is 5 people, they make from 149, 117 to 211, $372.
Not as a base salary. I don't know where you're getting those statistics from exactly, and I would want to, prove those. But no, there's nobody as a base salary that's making that.
GOB salaries.
Okay, so then that's including overtime and storm pay and other things like that.
And then 40 people under, they make it from $100,000 to 148, 49. I think that's a lot of money. I don't make $100,000.
Okay. I mean, salaries are collectively bargained and negotiated. They go up over time.
One more money. I'm pretty sure they're gonna be out of this. You guys gonna get another increase, right?
There's no increase scheduled. Collective bargaining agreement expires on May 31st.
That's what I said.
Thank you. Further comments from the public? Yes, ma'am.
Hi,
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Denise Riggio, 14 Westover Street. To follow up on what that gentleman was saying, so I went through this, and there's a lot of overtime and there's a lot of part-time. And when you go through it and you total that up, it's a big figure. So I'm trying to understand, are the part-time salaries, or the part-time employees, can we get the numbers of how many employees fill that part-time? Because when you look at this, in particular for me, the parking attendants jumped out. So you've got 2 full-time parking attendants and then their salaries, I don't know what a normal salary should be because I didn't do that comparison. But that doesn't include their medical, I'm assuming. And then you have $950,000 for part-time parking attendants. To me, that's like a wild number. I would like to understand how many people are doing that, and I would like to understand what the revenue that's generated from all the parking meters are.
Okay. Even though they are listed as parking meter attendants under civil service titles and they're in that department, it doesn't mean that they're all dedicated to parking meter enforcement. Our code enforcement department also does quality of life enforcement. You have this.
What does that mean?
It means when, you get complaints, noise complaints, when you get complaints about people doing work without permits, when you get complaints about landscapers, doing work before the time they're supposed to do it, just nuisances in the park, all types of things that, we get phone calls for in code enforcement that need to be addressed. We have a quality of life department section of that department. We also have all of our security desk personnel that are at the security desk at Village Hall, that are at the security desk at the pool, at the security desk at 195 Rockaway, and the library, that are also classified under those parking meter attendant titles. But they're not attending to the parking meters necessarily, even though that's the title. That's just the security parking meter title that they're given by civil service. Meter revenue, that there's straight coins in the meter. and the muni meters at the train station, we make about $500,000 to $550,000 a year. But you also have to include in that all of the parking permits that we give, the resident, the business, the commuter, the commercials, and those are also enforced by our code enforcement department. So they're going out to the lots and checking to make sure people are properly permitted. So that revenue is another 400,000 or so.
So that's the parking sticker.
It would be 150, 300, 515. It's another 600,000 from the parking stickers.
So 600,000 for parking stickers and tickets and 500,000.
Well, not tickets. The tickets would be under, yeah.
So it's the 600,000 for the parking stickers and 500,000 in revenue
For the meters.
From the meters.
Right, and then we get an additional between 750 and 900,000, depending on the year and how many people actually pay their tickets in parking meter tickets and permit tickets.
But that wouldn't.
That's listed under justice court revenue. So it's not included in that.
If you don't mind, just bring more information out. Also, code enforcement also use like the illegal housing, the code violations, people who start building something without proper permits. They're also utilized in that area as well.
I think I would have expected to see those in those particular line items, which also have salaried person and part-time and overtime in those line items. So that's where my confusion comes. So I'm still looking at the overtime and I'm still looking at the part-time and I'm still trying to understand how we have such a large part-time contingent that the amount of money that totals is significant in this.
Last week, we were talking about the benefits packages. And now, as you know, somewhere I was at 42 to 44,000 for full-time employees, which actually the union gets very upset with me because they want to see more full-timers and less part-timers. Part-timers are actually saving us a great deal of money in benefits alone.
I'd like to see the breakdown. Without understanding the breakdown, there's no basis of comparison. I mean,
Sure there is. If we took 2 part-time employees and made 1 full-time employee, each one would have an additional $42,000 on top of their salaries for the health benefits.
So what I'm trying to say is, when I'd still like to know how many part-time employees we have, how many hours they work, and what areas they work in, because that maybe we do need a full-time employee to compensate for, I don't know, however many part-time employees there are. Maybe that makes sense, but without that analysis being done, there's no way to tell. Right? So I was a part-time employee at one time when I worked for banks, and they kept me underneath the cap to qualify for full-time, right? Just under. So that's a disservice to the employees, right? And it's not fair to them. At the same time, a full-time employee, and I know civil service is different, I was in the private sector, I didn't get paid overtime, right? So when I became an employee, a full-time employee for that organization, I was working overtime where I was taking on a larger workload than a single individual really should. So it's a balancing act, and I understand that. But when you go through the numbers in here, it's a lot. And to the gentleman's point, I don't know what the comparison is to other locales that have the same type of positions available. I don't know salary wise what the comparison is. I would hope that we're market driven, right? But it is contractual, a lot of this. And so to understand it, we have to know the numbers and the breakdown. Without that, how do we know we're saving? What are we saving? We're saying we're saving, but how much are we saving by not having a smaller part-time staff and dedicated full-time employees who would be committed to doing whatever that task is?
I understand, but that analysis is done. We have part-timers and seasonals, and departments vary. Our code enforcement department, I know off the top of my head, has 32 part-time employees currently. Public safety has 26. Highway and parks vary from time to time, but they're both at about 20. Because a lot of them are students who go back and forth to school, so sometimes we have more during the off time. Sometimes we have less depending on their, some of them have second jobs and their scheduling allows them to work as many days as some of the others. So the total number varies throughout the year, to be honest. Seasonal employees, mostly in recreation, obviously our pool and our camp. We have 125 people that we bring in seasonally between camp counselors, lifeguards, rec attendants, pool attendants, pool maintenance attendants.
That's helpful.
White collar wise, we have probably about 12 part-timers working in Village Hall. We have another 2 in the court. In the library, we have part-time clerks and part-time pages, approximately 10 of each. The pages is probably, actually, those are lower. I would say approximately 8 of each currently.
So I think the budget, at any level of government reflects the priorities of the of the community or of the people in charge. And so there was the will to improve our pool. I've been in Valley Stream my entire, since I'm 3. So I've been in Valley Stream for almost 57 years. And so, to look at this and see the pool complex, that is beautiful, right? It's beautiful. The transformation, if anybody who's been here as long as I've been, is nothing short of amazing. Hendrickson Park, a real gem. I know maybe 20 years ago, everything was repaved. Now we've been restriped for biking. It's, again, beautiful. These are gems of our community, and then this is what makes our community. The library, to follow up on what everybody said, should be a priority as well. The schools go on field trips to Elmont, and they pay for that. Right? They pay to go to shows at Elmont. So I'm just going to make a final plug for this budget reflecting what our priorities should be in our community and what the people are looking for. And so I have to say I'm disappointed that it went from 4.99 to 4.4. I'm disappointed in that because the people in this community, it's a largely blue collar community, and the people in the community do not make as much as the people who work for the community. And so it's difficult for us to say we understand when our expenses are also going up, when our expenses are not capped, when health insurance is going to go up next year again, and when they make more snowstorms. So if that's what drove this year, I don't understand how we're going to manage it again next year and the year after that. Because all predictions show that those 2 things, the weather and medical, is going to continue to rise. So I don't know how we're going to manage this every year if we're piercing the cap every year.
Well, we haven't pierced the cap every year, and this does not mean that we're going to pierce the cap every year. Every year is voted on in a vacuum, and we're trying to get out ahead of this now. So this piercing of the cap is getting out ahead of it.
Right, but how, I know next year is next year, but everything that's in here is not extra, right? Everything that's in here is what's needed to run our village.
Yes.
Right, so again, those 2 expenses, storms and infrastructure to protect us from those storms, and Rockaway flooding, which was like a phenomenon this year as well. And medical costs that are going to continue to rise. Utility costs in New York are spiking. The water bills are going up, as are gas. So when all of those things are going to continue to rise, I understand this will probably be passed tonight, but I urge everybody to reflect on what's going to change for next year versus coming to us again next year and the year after that with the same explanation. Because I don't see what's going to come out of here, right? Selling property is not something you can continue to do. So raising taxes is something you can continue to do. So where does the money come from? The money has to come from the existing budget. So that's just my appeal, that we look at the priorities of the community and what we need, and what we want, right? Like the pool, like the park, and the library, and what we're gonna do going forward when the things that drove the increases this year are more than likely gonna be the same thing that continues to drive. So that's my side.
Appreciate your comments. Thank you. Do we have comment on Zoom?
Yeah, there's two as of right now. The first one is from David Sabatino. He said, could the mayor elaborate on federal policies that have contributed to the increase in village costs, inflation, cost of goods, cost of utilities, etc.?
Which you touched upon, Mike, is as hard as it is, well, everybody's bills going up, so are the village's bills going up. Our utility bills are going up as well. The only thing we mentioned last week was the things we did, like all the LED lighting and the solar panels and the rechargeable equipment, the green equipment in the parks department, to try and mitigate those costs. Is there another Zoom?
There was one more from Ula K. It says, I have a question about the pool. At what point does accessibility become part of the village's decision-making process? It feels like the pool pass structure is being viewed through a very outdated lens. Can you also clarify how much the day rate and seasonal pool pass are being increased this year?
You have the number, Mike? One of the things we discussed again, last week's, public hearing was the fact that, the pool passes are a little more user driven. That's why people who use the pool pay the fee. People suggested that the pool be free, and that would mean the tax rate would go up for everyone, even the people who didn't use the pool. Which is why we said we had to keep those fees in place, for the pool as a user fee. And just about everybody recognizes the fact that the pool probably hasn't looked better today than the day it was open. It's terrific. We're very proud of it in the parks, et cetera. But yes, the pool fees are more user driven, and accessibility, I was a little confused about the comment, is that, I mean, it's handicap accessible, it's ADA accessible, user accessible. I don't know what the daily fee is. Our pool director's not here tonight. You know what it is, Michael?
I know it was $6 for an individual. I don't have them in front of me. I could go grab it from the office. The seasonal passes were going up $10 for individuals and seniors, and like $25 for families.
Right, the day pass was somewhere around $6. What it is?
I think it's a little higher.
I
think it's 9 and 10. Oh, yeah.
More. No, I don't have that. So those are the Zoom questions. Further comments from the public? Come on up. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jenna Rossitano, 261 Cornwall Avenue, Valley Stream, New York. First off, I want to thank you for tabling, is that the correct term? Tabling this for another week. I hope it gave you time to reflect on what we had said. It certainly gave me time to reflect on what you had all said. One of the things that was said last week was that you are all in the same boat as we are with the taxes going up. I will respectfully disagree with that. We don't get free parking stickers.
We don't get free parking stickers.
You don't get free park. Do you get, do any of you get free cars with free gas and we pay for the insurance? None of you? Nobody has a village car? Not one person has a village car? There's no. So, but is that for everybody? Nobody's answering. Okay. So I'm just saying, I'm sorry? Nobody in this board has a village car. Okay. I'm wrong. I know. We, most of us commute to work. We go distances, we travel into the city, we have expenses, and I'm sorry, but I do believe there are village cars. I'm not gonna harp on that, but so we have a lot of expenses. Our expenses are going up. It feels terrible to sit here and say, well, some salaries are really exorbitant, because we can all see the salaries now. And I've grown up in Valley Stream. I'm very friendly with a lot of people on the board and who are employees of the village. So it's very hard to say, well, maybe the insurance shouldn't be completely free. Maybe people should be chipping in for that.
They do.
But last week you said some people get it free.
Only only the very senior employees who predate all of that. The majority of our workforce pays it.
Great, but that was still a reason that we were going to pierce the cap as of last week.
Right, because the cost of family healthcare and individual healthcare is skyrocketing.
Right, and we have to pay that as well. And my heart was broken last week by the woman who had called. I'm sure you all remember this. She said the amount that, the increase is the amount of that she spends for her children for food. She said she can't go to the pool, they can't afford it. And the increase was the amount that her family pays for eggs. I'm sure you all remember that.
Yes.
And then she asked if she could volunteer somehow. That's the people we should be thinking about. So when we say everybody's costs are skyrocketing, so are hers. So are her, exactly.
I have no.
But I'm not, nobody's,
I'm just saying, we all have, as a whole, that's what this is all about, the tax.
and we're
But we
all,
share that.
we all
That's
share
what-
that.
That we weren't talking about how much people make, we were talking about the actual tax as a home. We all share that. You have some people that maybe or not have a bigger home than the others, but we all share that 4%, 5%, but we're paying it. There's no way around it. I have no children in school, but your tax bill for the school is right.
Of course, and I'm happy to pay that.
Yes, but you're happy, we all, but that, so. I just heard the young lady talk about our pool, our park. I know you've been up at this counter many times respectfully, talking about the quality of life. The
Right,
car wash, where people make a mess.
and they still do every day.
But who's out there? Our public safety, our code enforcement, that aren't writing the tickets for the cars. They're out there doing that. The other thing, I didn't want to get into it, but now you talk about our workforce. We go almost 24/7. Our part-timers working Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, when most of us are with our families. That's why there's part-time employees to go around in a circle. So we don't pay anybody 60 hours to go to a 20-hour full overtime week.
Who works 24/7? What,
Almost, there's almost an employee on every minute of the day in Valley Stream. Mike, 6 hours, maybe not. It's 18 hours.
Well, we've got overnight code enforcement, and
Yeah.
then you got people on call, so there's
That's what I'm
always
saying.
somebody
There's
working,
always
yeah.
somebody at the table. That's what we have a lot of part-timers, because a lot of part-timers are doing work like that. They're the ones getting out of their car 2:33 in the morning and writing tickets for our neighbors that are blocking our driveways. We've all heard that it happens to all of us. But that's one of the reasons why we have a lot of part-timers. Because they're out there all night writing summonses, they're worried about the quality of life, and as we all know, we're here for a long time. Valley Stream has changed, so there are some services that we need more out there, and that's a fact. And Jenny, you've been here many times, and we've always complied and tried to help you, like we help everybody. Usually it's code enforcement and public safety going out there.
I understand that, and I have
You can't have everything.
no, of course you can have, and I don't think anybody's asking for anything, everything. We're just asking for the cap not to be pierced so high, because we all have rising bills as well. We all do.
I think we all wish we could decrease it.
And when you speak of quality of life, and since you brought it up, you said we have 30 code enforcement officers. James was nice enough to speak on the phone with me a couple of weeks ago, and we spoke again about the car wash. Nothing is done. So Ed, I know you said to me a few months ago that there was somebody specifically for Merrick Road.
They've been getting summonses, the car wash, for
Sorry.
not complying. We want, obviously, you have two ends. You want, either generating revenue and compliance. It's both. You want compliance with the law, and it also generates revenue with summonses. I can only assume, I really am not sure, they're getting the summonses for the litter, and they're paying the summonses, and they keep getting the summonses. So we're gonna have to find a way to get around that. I guess my assumption is they're looking at it as a way to do business. They're just gonna pay the summons because it's cheaper or whatever. But the court will have to address that with raising the summons and increasing the fines and increasing the violations, because they have been getting plenty of summonses.
Well,
They've been paying.
when Mr. Hunter and I spoke, he looked up how many summonses they had, and they had 3 summonses. So that's not a lot. And I've called at least 15 times in the past few years. I have neighbors, so we live on Cornwall. That's where it all collects. I have gone by myself so many times and cleaned it up, on a Sunday morning, because that's where it seems to collect, right on the corner of Cornwall and Merrick Road. So if they're getting a couple of summonses, they don't really care. And if they're going to, then I also found out that we had a contract with them. So, which seems to me like a pat on the back. If your cars are getting service there and they completely disregard the tickets that they're given. So I would ask, I know James said you were going to look into it. Well, does it matter? I mean, they have complete disregard for our community. So they do, so they should not be rewarded with business from the village. I'll wash your cars. I'm serious. Well, you can take it to anywhere else, but we don't need to keep rewarding them for bad behavior. So, and if you go down Merrick Road is right by your place and my old house in Let's Drive. Those garbage cans are constantly overfilled. So the ones on Central Avenue. I don't know who cleans those, but there is a quality of life that we're missing because it looks really bad. There's litter all over the place. And if there's somebody specifically for Merrick Road, I don't know why we're paying somebody specifically to do that if it still looks terrible. And if code enforcement is not giving them tickets, then I don't know what they're doing whenever I call. And it's very, very discouraging. I'm here because I care. I hope you are all there because you care as well. I like to think that.
Agreed.
Okay, so how can you help me fix this so I don't have to go and clean up their litter that they just throw out?
I believe Mr. Hunter is working on that. Yes.
Is there a next step?
We have a meeting coming up on Wednesday to get some support from the 5th precinct.
Okay.
We're gonna be sitting there with code enforcement, public safety, and the 5th precinct.
Okay.
It's Wednesday.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you for your time, and I'm disappointed if the cap is going to be pierced to 4.4. I am thinking of people like the woman who called last week. It was actually heartbreaking for me. So thank you.
Michael, would you get something that was going to answer the question before I ask for all the questions?
Yeah, kinda. I went to get the actual pool fees because Anthony had said that there were more questions about pool fees, so I wanted to be able to speak in the exact specific numbers. But I also grabbed something else to confirm. And I want to correct for the record, I had numbers in my head different than what we actually have 43 part-time parking meter attendants in the code enforcement department and 31 public safety officers.
Further comments from the public? Yes, sir. Of course.
Follow up on what you were talking about code enforcement. We live in Derby Street and Derby Street. Almost, maybe twice a week, we call almost every week, because people park down the block, park in the middle, whatever. You just walk into the line over there. I got a sticker, I paid permit so I can go and park over here. And I leave right there. When it's the weather is better, I drive and I come and park over here. I pay for that. Now people come from everywhere, you just park in the street. We call, nobody shows up. I have cameras, cars parking in the street 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. They don't get a ticket. Where's these people? She's right, where's these people?
So you just want to follow up on that on Derby?
What number on Derby are you?
30.
30? No,
It
my
is not just.
family lives on 12, that's why.
It is not just me.
Yeah, no,
We all the neighbors, we all together. We call all the time. Nobody shows up.
Not sit that in, I can see them.
Oh, and how many of the streets of Valley Street supposed to be clean? The sweeper, how many times report? Once a month?
I know the sweeper's out every day.
Well. Finally, I saw one last Thursday or Friday, and I had it on camera. We haven't seen one since like August. What is this guy? Since like August, we haven't seen one until this week. This past week.
Probably from December to almost March, because of the ice and snow, it was sporadic, so that would go to more schedule. Those machines aren't gonna go in the snow or the ice. That'd be a
Still,
liability.
it's still, but if they don't, we're still.
So I'm just saying, now we throw it off the schedule, because I haven't seen them either, but that's the reason why. Because of the ice and the snow, that's when you see them again.
Since last August to last week.
If you're out on Merrick Road and you're out in the morning at 6, 7 o'clock, you will see the sweeper. You see it.
I don't need it then, bro.
Yeah, I'm just telling you, when you see them, they're out, they are out, but in the middle of
But
the
that's
night.
dirty. We go outside, clean up, so, you know, whatever mess, the street.
They do have routes, that I'm not there every day, they have routes. EPW is there, but they do have routes.
That's still.
Yeah, they also, they're out there.
Further comments from the public?
I use the stores on Rockaway and also the restaurants on Rockaway a lot. And I really think it's important to support our commercial strip. And for the village, so we have more taxes, and for the people to go out and run. And the parking lots near Rockaway, that are the village parkway, they are so dark. They are not, people don't want to walk and stay in these parking lots at night. And I think it'd be very supportive of the commercial strip if we lit up these parking lots. So that people that have the permits and people that can use them would come out and use more of the restaurants. So I'd like you to consider doing a survey at night of the parking lots and actually see how dark they are. Thank you.
Appreciate it, thank you.
I'll be ready. Thank you. I just do want to thank code enforcement. I was also the victim of the guy that got arrested in the park. And I want to thank code enforcement because when my girlfriend and I reported it, he did call it in. And I do understand that he's been arrested.
It's true.
Yeah.
So,
Good evening.
Good evening. Been a while. Hello, everybody. Michael Stanky, 155 First Street. Just for people concerned about the cost of residing in the village. You know, this is really relatively chicken feed compared to what's going on in the school districts. The school district, they're not raising your taxes, they're not piercing the tax cap, but they're getting tons of state aid, millions and millions of dollars. Last year, my school district 30 ended the year with $10.5 million left over. That's about 20% of their budget. So really, like I said, this, not that this is great, this is not good. But really take a look at everything that contributes to your total cost of living here. And the real problem is in the school districts. Now, moving on here, when this administration first came into power about 15 years ago, one of the first things they did was that big employee buyout, early retirement. Now, at the time, it was an expensive proposition that Mr. Mastromarino said to the Herald at the time. He said, yeah, this could work if we keep all of these job positions vacant. Meaning he kind of knew that we weren't going to keep them vacant, and we did. Wasn't that long before we had more employees before the buyout. So, you know, the buyout at the time was a big waste of money, and it set a new tone for a new era of government patronage. Basically clearing out the patronage of Mayor Cahill and bringing in
the new people. And that cost us a lot of money. Now, the administration at the time, they inherited a $15 million reserve fund from Mayor Cahill and Mayor Anton. Mayor Fair said that they would spend that reserve fund instead of raising taxes. What happened? They started drawing down the reserve fund and raising taxes. And not only that, they went and they borrowed a ton of money. They blew up the debt by an additional 40%. They inherited a Moody's AA bond rating. We were told at the time that the village would pursue the coveted Moody's AAA bond rating, and instead we crashed to junk bond status. The next year, 2014 budget, village pierced the cap at that time, while still drawing down on the reserve fund. The New York State Controller rated Valley Stream's finances as the most stressed out of any village of the over 500 villages in New York State. And how did the village fix this problem? They stopped sending the financial data to Moody's. They stopped sending the financial data to the state controller. So now the state controller and Moody's will say nothing about Valley Stream's finances, how good they are, how bad they are, because we don't send them the data. So what are we gonna have to assume? We're gonna have to assume the finances are not good. I remember sitting here listening to Trustee Grasso saying that when they're building all these apartment buildings, the additional revenue from the tax revenue from the apartment buildings would restore the fund balances. That never happened. And there was also just general mismanagement. We were told the waste transfer station would come in at $1 million. By the time it was finished, the cost was in excess of $10 million. We do not need a tax increase. We need responsible stewardship of the village's finances. Thank you for listening.
Appreciate your comments. Thank you. Further comments from the public?
Sorry. Same name and same address. I'm sorry, I don't know if this is appropriate, but last week you were talking about the park and the reasons why we could not clean the lake. And I'm sorry, I did not understand why we can't do that.
Well, yeah,
Wait.
what happened is, we were working with, Mr. McAleer who's here. The state DEC, we have to follow the state regulations of DEC. And we're not allowed to enter the pond, we're not allowed to remove invasive species, it's on and on. We've gotten permits several times to clean it, and we have, and the invasive species, for argument's sake, just come back. And so it's permitting fees and getting in to be able to do it. We're very, very, very frustrated. How many times, I know of at least 7 that we did the north end of Hendrickson Lake to try and get the water flowing, and it lasts a year or two, and then it's more permits and more fees, and we went in and started to clean it. I mentioned this last week, and the DEC showed up with a stop work order, wouldn't let us go in and clean it.
Can they not use reachers?
It was really rough.
Can they not use reachers and not go in, but just take things out? Because if you go where the swans live, there's the same bucket that's been there for 2 weeks. You know, I mean, is that allowed? Is that something that's feasible and that you can all think about and talk about? Can they go in with a reacher without going into the pond and remove garbage that way?
Tom, where do we leave off with that?
There is a permit, a maintenance permit that we've applied for, we're just waiting to hear back from the DEC to issue that. It should be soon. So, and then that allows us to go into the stream and pull out any of the floatables, debris.
In the meantime, can we not go in with reachers?
Somebody can go in, if, I don't know what exactly, what they.
Well,
They were cleaning it today. They have. Is that, Hendrickson?
Can't make comments
Yeah,
right
they were cleaning it today.
They have a scooper. So
Right.
again, they do that from the side.
From the banks.
From the banks, and they reach in, and they grab whatever they can reach. reach all the way in, but you're talking about.
I'm talking about right by the shoreline,
Yeah,
and especially where the swans are, because doesn't look like there's a lot of water over there. And literally the same things have been there for weeks now.
there. They're out there swooping.
Today would be great, so hopefully it'll look different tomorrow, but from my perspective, and I walk that park every day, the same things have been there. So, I understand that we can't go in, but there has to be like outside of the box thinking, what can we do? That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comments from the public? So, step forward, please. Okay.
Tina Santos, 30 Derby Street. I'm a little concerned with, the turnover of people, moving out, coming in. And what I'm noticing is there's illegal apartments that are happening. And I see it every day. And I don't know what the village does for something like that. Do you have to report it? Do you?
That helps.
I-
Reporting it does help. They are out there
They are,
looking, yes, that's part of code enforcement.
okay,
There is a division in code enforcement is housing. And they go out there and they get tips from people like yourself. And they go in, if the person lets them in, it helps. If not, then they have to look around the house. They have to look for double doorbells, extra mailboxes, the amount of recycling bins, the amount of garbage cans. Antennas on the roof, they have different things like that, so they can at least start off by writing a summons to the property owner.
right.
To get them into court, so then the judge can get
So who do I report it to?
court enforcement. Yeah,
Okay,
like if you do you have a house right now?
I don't know the address, but it is down the block from
What you do,
from
you
me.
call code enforcement, and they will send somebody over to start their investigation.
Sure, I just think it's not fair,
No, it's not.
yeah. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
But just without getting, I'm sorry, but just to piggyback on this, what can be done about a 3-family house?
Well, just what we were just talking about.
Right,
It had to
it's all-
stop people from going in.
So I need to report it.
You have to report it. and you
Right.
can't- you can't-
Once, sorry if I explained this wrong. Once it is reported, what can be done about it? They just get a summons?
You restore it, you have to start by summons.
Summonses and they go to court.
Okay. Thank
You
you.
have to do it legally, the right way.
Correct.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, well, thank you.
you're welcome.
Further comments from the public?
You get 58 Evelyn Lyons, 58 East Hawthorne Avenue. I wrote you a letter this past week about parking lot number 19, which is behind our house, which is now a rented. The village rents out to gardeners and everything.
Yes.
It is a mess back there, all right? The village, I sent you pictures where there is garbage all behind our fence. If we walk out our gate, there is garbage all over. And you know what, granted, the winter and everything, but that's no excuse. It accumulates and accumulates. And what are we paying for? This is our quality of life. A village crew came and took a ladder that was behind our house. That was, I guess it was what?
Chain to the fence.
Chained to the fence. They took that, but did not clean anything. All right, whatever. Good. Let them take it and cash it in. All right, but what are we paying these taxes for? All right, granted, it was a tough winter and they're busy out there, but this garbage accumulates back there, which is our backyard behind our fence. I am tired of this.
Mr. Hunter, can we have that followed up on immediately?
It's disgusting. It's like, what do you have to say to that? Where are they? What are they doing?
We're gonna make sure there's a crew there tomorrow, the next day, whatever Mr. Hunter can get them.
They should be there regularly. And the gardeners, I mean, Nick Casano is very good when we have issues with trucks that are back there and they have like gardening stuff which stinks. We call him up and he takes care of it. But seriously. This is our yard. This is our house. Why should we pay more in taxes?
Further comments from the public?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Anthony Cruz, 220 West Merrick Road. I have a couple of questions to get into some of the line items with regards to the debt service. First, I wanted to ask about the part of the debt service that is related to the auditor budget. It looks like the village last year overspent its auditor budget by about $130,000, and that was part of the budget note to close the gap. And I wanted to know what that spike was due to.
Well, the auditor.
Contractual expenses for auditors has nothing to do with debt service. That's two completely different line items. You're talking about the 1320?
I'm talking about,
Auditor.
this is in reference to the resolution with regards to the bond that was discussed on March 2nd for the village.
The
It
budget note.
included, in addition to the snowstorm expenses and other line items, there was the line item that specified that the professional services for auditors had exceeded
I
$130,000.
do not believe that is correct. It was legal fees, not auditor fees.
It's listed in the resolution as auditor fees
You don't happen to have the resolution in front of you, do you?
from March 2nd.
Let me go grab it because that, I don't think you're referencing the correct thing.
So he's gonna go look for that. If further questions while he's trying to make sure we have the accurate information.
Yes, I had another question with regards to the bargaining contracts that are set to expire at the end of May. I'm wondering if the village anticipates reaching a new contract by the May 31st
We do not.
expiration date? No.
No,
So does it anticipate a new contract within fiscal year 27?
27. Well, yes, we've gone through contract negotiations several times. And right now, we just received the letter from the union to enter into negotiations, and they could be anywhere from a month to a year. That's what's happened in the past. I've done about 5 of these, and some of them are done quickly and some of them are not.
And in the hypothetical that a new contract is reached within this next fiscal year, how would the village plan to accommodate any anticipated new expenses for salaries?
It would have to be in next year's budget. This year's budget is gonna be voted on tonight.
And then I have one additional question. I don't know if it's for the treasurer or for the board.
Okay.
There's a line item here anticipating about 1.9 million in revenue from property sales. I'm wondering how that number of 1.9 million is reached, like what the property specifically.
It was parking lot 26, which was entered into a contract for senior housing, which is something that the village has been calling for and desperately in need of. So it's anticipation of using some of that income for the budget.
Then sort of as a follow-up, I know 1.9 million is a sizable amount for this budget. So my question is more, how many years, of course, we're talking specifically about this budget, which is FY 27, but how many years does the village anticipate being able to draw from the sale of property in order to close the budget?
Well, we hope not to. The sale of property is 6 million?
So,
7 million, so we're looking at putting 5 million into the reserve and using 2 million in the budget. And having our reserves back and having a balanced budget and moving forward, not having to do this. So we hope.
That concludes my questions with the exception of the auditor question.
Right, with you, which he can double back and check. All right, further comments from the public? And he'll get you that information. Go ahead.
There were a few from
Okay.
there was one from Aura Mesa. It said, could we see a formal document showing how many people how many people the town employs and how much it is paying for their benefits?
All right, 2 things. First of all, we're a village, we're not a town. And in the village budget, it is absolutely positively page by page, line by line in the budget, which is also available online and here in person.
All right, and then the other question was about the pool, which is also for Mike, so we have to wait for him.
Right, okay. Right, so we just had, and that was, the auditor, and what was the pool question?
It was just being specific about those fees that we talked about before. I can read it. It says, the guest pass for a child for one day was $15 last year. Will it be going up again? I'm disappointed that the board doesn't seem to recognize how expensive the pool already is for families. And then they said they thought it was $6, question mark. I think we got to figure out what fees specifically we're talking about.
And further comments from the public? All right, Michael will come back with those questions, with the answers to those. Before the hearing is closed, I'd like to ask the village clerk to call from the table of the April 13th, 2026 budget hearing, the following resolution to be voted upon.
Resolution 072-26, adoption of the budget.
Move the resolution.
Second,
Second.
roll call?
Trustee Tuffarelli,
Yes.
trustee Thomas,
Yeah. Yes. Well, so those are rhetorical questions. They're gonna answer, we're not gonna close out. Okay. Because we're not gonna close the meeting, I'll let public comment come out with those two questions. The audit question and the pool question.
If we're waiting just for the resolution. I have. Right. Let's see.
So you just had the two questions, Michael. One was on the pool fee, which you said you had now, and then the question about the orders.
Yes, okay, so the pool fee first, that's easy. They did not increase. They were increased for the 25 season. They were kept the same for the 26 season. A daily pass is $10. With the budget note question, so professional service auditors is the title of the account, but there's more than the auditor's expenses that are in there. It's the auditors, bond counsel, and financial analysis, or financial analyst.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah, can I ask a follow-up?
Sure.
Just as a follow-up to that, would it be possible for the village to upload those results, official or unofficial, from the auditors onto the village website?
Yes, they're not there.
No, I don't believe so.
Okay, yeah, no, absolutely. They're available in Village Hall, but they should be posted on the website as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Right, and I apologize, the deputy mayor was correct. So we have the answers to those questions. So we had a resolution by trustee Tuffarelli, a motion, a second by trustee Daly. Trustee Tuffarelli voted yes. Continue with the roll, Mr. Clerk.
trustee Thomas,
Yes.
trustee Wazak,
Yes.
trustee Daly,
I'm going to abstain.
and Mayor Fair.
Yes. I need a motion to close. Motion to close. Roll call.
Trustee Tuffarelli.
Yes.
Trustee Thomas,
Yes.
trustee Wazak,
Yes.
trustee Daly,
Yes.
Mayor Fair.
Yes. Thank you for coming. Thank you for your comments. Get home safe.